Hi, everybody. Welcome to Success and Strategy, real talk with heart-centered entrepreneurs, where you will hear inspiring stories and insights from entrepreneurs who are leading their businesses with heart and strategy. I am your host and strategic bookkeeper and tax accountant, Amanda Stickle, and today I am joined by Lauren Howell, the PR expert. Lauren, do you want to share a little bit about who you are, what your business
Okay,
is, what you got going on?
right, sure. Hello, everybody. Yeah, my name is Lauren. I am the founder of Put Into Words, and I'm also a full-time social media strategist at Simply Multimedia. So my life is basically connecting the dots between social media and PR. I say that everywhere. That's my tagline. Taking social strategy, PR strategy, linking the two, and making my clients more money and getting them more brand awareness. So that's my business in a nutshell. I mean, a lot has happened over the past few years, so I'm kind of doing two full-time gigs at once, which is not unusual for me. So yeah.
Yeah, and I obviously follow you on all platforms and I just see
Number
everything you're
one
doing.
fan.
Yeah, you're doing amazing and what you're doing for your clients too. It's so awesome. Um, and I'm curious to for you, what does success look like? Like what makes you feel like you are successful? Because I've seen the success that you've created for other people. What does it look like for
Right.
you?
Right, yeah, PR is kind of funny because you're in the background for a lot of it. Like you put a lot of time and hours into projects that are not seen, right? And then when something lands or a partnership lands and it's a big moment for the client, that's like success, right? But the publicist isn't really a big part of that moment, right? Just the buildup. So I think that really fits my personality well because I don't really like to be in the spotlight so much, but I do love the grind and I love strategy and I love seeing the fruition and the happiness on my client's face when a big win has happened and I know how long it took to make that happen. And they do too. They know how long it took too. But on a personal level, what success looks like to me is not dreading work, honestly. Waking up and being excited about what you're doing, having the weekend off, and then thinking about what's coming ahead without dread. That is what success is for me, and I finally found that. So I'm just wishing every entrepreneur can get to that point. I don't think it's fair to say everybody will ever get to that point. So I do feel really blessed that I'm just happy and having fun and also making money doing it. So I don't think that's a rare thing, I feel. At least in my family's history, I have yet to see that happen. And so I feel special when it comes to that.
Yeah, it is. I think it is unique, and I think it is about perspective too. Like, I saw your post the other day about Sunday scaries,
Yeah.
and I'm like, yeah. But then I was like thinking about it, like, I don't feel that anymore because I've built this business around who I am and how I feel comfortable and working with
Right.
people that I enjoy working with.
Right.
And I'm similar in a sense, um, about what you were saying, where you don't really want to be in the spotlight,
Right.
but you really want to see your clients succeed and be happy and grateful and all those positive feelings, and like you kind of feed
Mhm.
off of that.
Yeah,
Um,
that's your win. Yeah, that's your
yeah.
win. Yeah, for sure.
So it is, yeah, it's unique. It's a unique
Mhm.
experience, and I'm grateful that we both share that.
Yeah. Yay, that's nice.
So what do you feel has made the most significant impact in getting your business to where it is today, where you don't dread going to work and you feel grateful?
That is a really loaded question. So I think for me personally, it's deciding when to continue to push through on your entrepreneurial journey or your business journey and really in life, right? When to be stubborn and really just push through when things are unpleasant or hard and when work is just there's too much of it, there's not enough hours in the day, and knowing when that's not okay and when to pivot, right? And change, like make a massive change. Like that's what's happened for me in the last year. I mean, I've been building Put Into Words since Oh, I can't even remember the year. I think I'm in like year 6 or 5, end of year 5. And they say like you have to get to 5 years to make it, like at least that's the goal in my mind. Is like if you can get past year 5, you're gonna make it, is what people say. So I was like, the stubborn person in me is like, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna make it, and I'm gonna show people, right? And year 4 last year was just brutal. It was just brutal. And it wasn't that I had Sunday scaries or I didn't like what I was doing. It's just that the way I was trying to do it wasn't right for me. So knowing when to make decisions and change your business, I think is so crucial, because if you don't make changes, then you could end up hating your job again. You know what I mean? So just knowing when to be stubborn and push through, and temporary pain versus, no, I need to make a pivot. I need to make a decision and swap things, like big things that will impact other people. And that's the hard part. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's boundaries. I think that's kind of what you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
is like boundaries and really knowing your limit. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah, because and it's interesting too, because you said year 5, and I feel like that's really when I made pivotal changes in my
Yeah.
business to be
Mm-hmm.
more aligned, because the first 5 years were just struggle and like uncomfortableness and saying
Yeah.
yes for all the wrong things because I
Yeah.
thought I
Building
had
it
to.
all. Yeah.
Yeah,
Building it
like the
all from scratch.
shoulds.
Yep. Yeah. Year 5 is critical. I guess that's why they say year 5 is the
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you said that, because I as soon as you said that and it clicked, I was like, "Oh, I had yeah, you're 5."
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, you're like, no, this is not the way it's gonna work. I can't do this forever this way. So yeah, making changes, that bringing people on, letting people go,
Yeah.
being really, so what by that time you have in your business all your procedures and like the foundation set up. So, and that's really the part of the grind that you have to push through, right? Like, this is uncomfortable, but it's temporary. I just got to get this all set up. But then you get to a point where it's like you have to make decisions on what kind of things you're going to take in, when you're going to say no, when you're going to start saying no a lot more, instead of yes because you're desperate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the hard part, is creating that foundation where you then feel comfortable to make
Right,
those
saying no.
important
Yeah.
decisions. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think this kind of leads into my next question of how impactful has understanding your finances been in your business growth?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Super impactful. Um, I think, okay, to be brutally transparent, the first maybe 2 years, 2 to 3 years, I was just trying to make money, right? So you underprice yourself. I don't know, like if this is for every service industry, but my industry in social media management, um, you underprice yourself just to get experience, right? You take the low hanging fruit, the clients that are really push your buttons, and they're important though, because they help you understand your scope of work and your boundary. Like, it's all a journey that everybody has to learn those lessons. But financially, I think year 3 to into year 4, I was like, okay, let's make sure this is healthy. Let's make sure we're doing this right. I learned about like income expense ratio, and that really went into year 4 and made things hard, because you want to pay people well, but you want to actually live and buy groceries. So then I outsourced to you because, like, at that point, it's just like I can't keep track of all of these expenses, versus what's coming in. So just making sure there's somebody else who knows what they're doing, and they can look at it and say like, hey, this is good, or this needs to change. That's really all I needed at that point.
Yeah, and just like basically having that support system, I think,
Right.
and like
Right.
freeing up that mental
Hmm.
space so that you can focus on your business. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and you're not alone, because definitely when I started out, the first couple of years were like I was charging like next to nothing. And
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
that's hard, because when you're first starting out, you're usually shifting from that employee mindset to actually being the
Hmm.
boss and like this is your
Hmm.
business.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
it's
Knowing your value. Yeah. And the
yeah, it's
value of your
all a
time.
learning experience. And some people it takes longer. I feel like it took, even with my business background, like in the finance
Hmm.
world, like
Hmm.
it still took me a while because it's a lot of mindset work. where
Mm-hmm.
you really have to realize, like you said, your boundaries, your value,
Right.
all the
Right.
important things. Um,
Right.
and yeah, I wouldn't ever say I regret those beginning years because it's such
No.
a impactful learning experience of
Right.
learning you and your business and
Mhm.
the world and
Yeah.
how other people are and how other
Yeah.
people are
How it
with you.
works.
Yeah.
Yep. Other
So
people's
yeah,
expectations. Yeah, for sure.
yeah. And then I think it helped, like you said, helping having that foundation in your numbers, knowing how much money you have coming in, how much you are able to give out to other people while
Right.
still
Can
being
you
able to afford
outsource?
groceries, which I
Yeah.
don't know if that's possible, but
Right.
right now with how expensive groceries are, but we're
Yeah.
making it
That's
work.
right. Don't even get me started on that. It's depressing. But
It is
yeah.
so bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with kids. It's like
They
always
eat
buying food.
a lot. Yep. For sure.
Oh man. Okay. So, with all of that being said, if you could give one piece of advice to other
Mm.
heart-centered entrepreneurs looking to grow their business, what piece of advice would you give? Whether it's finance advice, just business strategy, marketing, what would you say to somebody looking to grow?
Mm. That's a good question. I have so many pieces of advice. I feel like we could write a book at this point.
You probably
I'll,
should.
I'll leave finance advice to you, and I'll go more of a strategic route, I guess. Um, my piece of advice. Okay, I got it. Okay, so a lot of us as entrepreneurs, especially heartfelt entrepreneurs, we follow other entrepreneurs on social media or in real life that we really admire, right? And we're like, if they can do it, I can do it kind of vibe and motivation, right? And that is great to get you started, I think. But my piece of advice is to know you do not have to do your business any kind of way that other people are doing it. Like you don't have to strive for their goals. Like really take a moment to look at your business and the core of it, whether you started it for financial freedom or time to be at home, whatever the reason why you started your business, like keeping that front and center is really important and knowing like if I stray from that path and I start building my business the way I see other people obsessively building their business, and it starts to hurt the core reason why you started in the first place, you need to really stop and think, is this the way I want to go? And it's okay to pause and really look at the structure of what you're building and ask yourself if you can see it lasting 5 more years, and are you even going to be like alive at that point? Would your health be intact? Would your sleep be intact? Would your friendships and families still be intact? Because I can give you an example. Like I used to think I had to scale my business to be successful. Like I can't take on more clients if there's only one of me. So I need to start outsourcing so I can take on more. And then the whole hamster wheel began of like I just I could keep the quality up and I could keep growing the team, but the finances never really scaled either. And I know that there's reasons for that. And right, you could fix that if I wanted to, but it did make me stop and think like, do I have to scale to be successful or do I need to go a different path? So that is my personal experience. So it might look different for you, but just make sure that your motivation stays at the core of why you started and whatever path you take, whatever people you choose as motivation or role models, make sure they're pushing you in a direction that you keep that core reason why you started in the first place. Because it's so easy to lose it, so easy to lose sight of it. Yeah,
That
that
is
was long.
No, that was great. That was like amazing advice. I'm like, yeah. And again, I'm relating to you because I'm in that same boat where like that's everything that's being pushed is like being scaling your business
Yeah.
and hiring out to be able to help more people.
Mm,
And I'm constantly like going back and forth and realizing, oh, I don't need to do that. Like I'm okay with
right.
what I'm doing. But then
Right.
like something else I see and I'm like, oh, I should do that. Wait,
Yeah.
no.
Distracting. Social media is
Yes.
distracting.
Yes.
And that's not to say like if you choose not to scale. Like if you choose not to hire a team or go that direction, that doesn't mean you're stuck at that same revenue for
Right.
forever. There's so many other different options. You increase your service value, you increase like your level of clientele, you're really selective on who's on your roster if you're service based, or you add other offerings that don't require you physically doing something. So I don't think I think that's the big misconception on social media is if you don't scale, you're stuck. That's not accurate at all.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. Those were good examples. And
Yeah.
yeah, not to downplay social media. Like social media is an
Right.
amazing, magical tool
There's
and
both
resource.
sides. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
two sides of that coin. I know.
yeah. It's definitely more of like that social like aspect where it's the I don't know if that's the right word, but like you're judging yourself so hard
Mhm.
because of what you see other people doing. But really that's
Yeah.
not always the full picture. Most
Right.
often it's not.
Mhm.
And I like to share that because yeah, there's just misconceptions. And the other thing too is that's being pushed a lot is like those like the number posts where people are showing like their screenshots of, oh, I've made this much in this month.
Right.
And there's no real way to prove that that's accurate unless you're actually in their stuff. And then you also don't
Mhm.
know their expenses. They
Right.
probably aren't getting all of that in their pocket.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. Like I can't even imagine how much those posts probably annoy you. I
Yeah.
look at those with a grain of salt too because they don't show any of their expenses.
Mhm.
Um yeah, at the end, like you could have a $10,000 client or ticket, right? And then at the end of the day make 200 after all your expenses. Just
Right.
doesn't mean
Yeah.
anything, right? Yeah.
So much more work to make more
Right.
money. It's like, wait.
Right. Yeah.
Some people
Yep.
have it down, but that's not my thing either.
Right.
And I think too, like you mentioned, like having goals that are related to your personal goals. So like, is $1 million goal really what you want, or is that just because you're seeing
Right.
everybody else do that, or do you just need $60,000 every year? Like that's
Right.
probably going to be enough for a lot of people.
Mhm.
Just looking at your
Financially
personal.
speaking, yeah, like $1 million revenue after expenses, they could probably be making just about as much as a solopreneur with no
Yeah,
expenses. Like
exactly.
you just don't know. You just don't know
Yeah.
how healthy it is or not. And also, like if you have $1 million revenue, your living expenses are probably pretty high too because
Right.
yeah, all the finances,
Yeah.
right? But usually the lifestyle gets pretty expensive at that point.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm guilty and probably annoying. My husband and I were big Bravo fans, so like we watch like Real Housewives, and I'm like, I wonder how much their house payments are, their utilities. Like,
Right.
I wonder how much because they're always working and always doing these shows, and they're probably
Right.
barely getting by with everything that they
Right.
have to do to
Yeah, it's
split the part.
expensive. Yeah, more money, more problems is a real
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm tangenting, but
That's okay.
I'm
No,
going
that
on
was
a
a good
squirrel
one.
moment. Um, Yeah, so that's all I had. I think that was really great and impactful and
Yeah, it
insightful
was fun.
to yeah, to hear like the different points of views and like your experiences too. I think that's really important for other business owners. Like we've been talking about throughout this about seeing other people and
Right.
assuming things, but when we actually hear their stories, we realize, oh yeah, they're just like me. They're having the same
Yeah.
experiences or the same struggles.
Yeah.
I'm not alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that doesn't mean I'm gonna fail. There's other things on the other side.
Right.
So thank you for sharing all
Yeah,
that.
no problem. I hope it helps your viewers and your listeners to understand that, we're all going through the same thing. No matter how much money you make or not, you're all going through the same decisions and same process.
Yeah. So while we close up, do you want to share where people can follow you, like where you hang out
Sure.
or where you want to
Yeah,
connect?
I hang out a lot on Threads lately. But you can find me on Instagram at Lauren Howell, and then you can find my threads there. But that's where I've been hanging out the most. Yeah, I really don't don't go anywhere else other than those two platforms. Or yeah,
That's usually
so
where I hang
yeah,
out too. Well, mine's usually like Facebook and Instagram, but I've been trying Threads.
Threads
I think
is
I have to get the hang
fun.
of it. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
watching your stuff. So
Yeah, no, it's
I'll comment, I'll add your tags in the description so people can click it
you guys
and find you
yeah.
easily.
Yeah, jump into the DMs and say hi.
Anything else you want to share before we close up?
Nope, just another week. Let's do it. It feels like a
Awesome.
Monday, but I know it's Tuesday.
That's the summer vibe.
Yep, yep.
Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for
And
having
if
me.
anybody, you're welcome. If anybody else is watching and would like to be a guest to share their insights and stories, feel free to reach out. And until next time, this was Success and Strategy, Real Talk with Heart-Centered Entrepreneurs. Thanks for joining.